Okay, so we mentioned before that we were going to collect our token via different methods. So now we're going to talk about that method. What we're going to use is a Glide OAuth client, and not to go really far into it, you can definitely Google it on your own. We'll take a real quick look at developer.servicenow, and essentially, like it says here, the Glide OAuth Client API provides methods for requesting and revoking OAuth refresh and access tokens. So again, without going too far into it, what we're going to do is we're going to essentially lift this script right here. I'm going to pull up a finished version, on our screen, and we can take a look. I'm just going to leave it up. You'll be able to just pause your screen and do what you need to do there. But this is the reference or the sourcing for that. It's at developer.servicenow.com. And again, I just did a search for Glide OAuth client request. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to need to do is create a system property. This is just going to be a place to hold the token once we've collected it. I've actually done that for previous work, so I'm going to open this up and we can take a look. Basically, you can give it any name you want. If you want to follow along with this demo, as exact as possible, then just use this name. It's sn.integration.refresh token. It's just a string type. And then your value, you're going to leave that empty. We're going to actually clear this for now, just so we can see it work. But when you do this, and I'll go back real quick, like I said, it's pretty straightforward, but if I click on new, you'll see the only thing you would need to do is put in that title or that name and then hit submit, and you leave it alone. Next, we're going to take a look at the script includes itself, and it's actually two pieces. I'll pull it up and I'll pause for a second, and that'll be your chance to pause. If you are a person who would like to just copy this straight out, you absolutely can. Obviously, you should understand what you're doing as best as possible. But if you really are just up against it and you just have to get this done, then if you start here and end here, that'll be fine. The only thing you'll want to do prior to that is actually creating the script includes. So we'll do that. This is the name I'm using, just u_rest includes. And so what I'll do is go from start to finish with this, and I'll paste this in once we're done. So in case you have not made a script includes before, you would just go into script includes and you would click on new. In this case, you would give it a name. We did u_rest includes. And then the other thing that you would want to do is click on this client callable box, and you see it puts everything else in there. Like I said, if you've not done this before, just make sure that you start, if you're going to just paste it in, you start after this point. So just make yourself a new line, and you want to end, obviously you don't want to overwrite this. So what I'll do is I'll save, I'm not going to save this, but I'll go back, and what you would have done at this point is just paste it in that start here to end here text. So we'll go back and take a look at that. Okay, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time here, because if you can see this and you know what it means, then you don't really need to listen to this. And if you don't know what it means, you're probably just going to copy it, which is fine. But basically we have two functions here. One's going to be to generate a refresh token, and one's going to be to generate an access token. They're going to use the Glide OAuth client, just generally speaking. and we're going to pass some parameters over here. We're going to pass over the grant type, which is going to be a password in this case, and then we're going to use username and password. Now, one thing I'll tell you is that you don't actually have to store your password here. If you run this, the time that you run it, the password would need to be stored here, but after that you can remove it, like if you have one of those password manager type tools. Another thing that you can do is you could actually store that password as a property itself. So the same way we created a property that we're going to use to store that token, we could do that, put our password there, and then we could actually call it here by, instead of having password, we could just call our variable. But we're not going to worry about all of that right now. What we're going to do simply is just go ahead and put in our ID and password here in a second. Just to go a little bit further, so the other thing you'll need to put in on this line here, this is my line 13. Obviously, we're just constructing a JSON, and we're going to pass over the data from that. And what we're calling here, this is our REST profile when we create our REST message. Our application registry. This is our profile, and we're just going to pass over the parameters. So basically, these are our parameters. We're going to make it JSON, and then we're going to send it over. And then we're going to, obviously it's going to get the token, and what it's going to do then is it's going to set that property that we had created before, that SN integration refresh token, or whatever you had named it. That's where it's going to put that in. Of course, you want to make sure you created the property already. If you're watching this video, you probably did do that first. The other piece is, very similar. This is a get new access token. I'm not going to belabor it at this point. What I will do is, since we did in our system property here, we don't have a value, I'll just refresh to show that we don't have a value. And in a moment, we're going to go ahead and capture one. Just for the sake of time here, I'm going to go ahead and just take and copy and paste my password down there and throw it in here. We'll reset it later. It's not a big deal. Okay, so we've captured that, and we're going to toss it here, and we're going to hit save. And like I said, you don't actually run a script includes, or I didn't say that, but you don't actually run the script includes from here. We're going to call that via a scheduled job. So I'll click over to my scheduled job, and we'll take a look there. Okay. And this is just a generate refresh token job. It's a scheduled job. I gave it this just generic name, nothing really particularly special there. You can set it per your parameters. For this demo, I just had it running daily, and the only thing that we need to include in this scheduled job is we're going to call our script includes, and then our function, the generate refresh token. So at this point, this is going to be the name that you use for your script includes, and then dot, and then you're going to use the name of that function. So we have our name is urest includes, and then our function is generate refresh token. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to execute our job, and once we do, we should be able to go back to the system properties and refresh, and we should see that a token has indeed been generated for us. So now our script has been run. We will come over here and click refresh, and we see that a value has now been populated. So that's something that we'll be able to call going forward. We still have a bit to go before we actually get to where we'll be sending a REST message. We've got to do some table setup, but once we get there and we're ready to get into our business rule and all that good stuff, then we'll have this ready.